Hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome to Let's Play Sine Mora, a shmup about time travel. Sine Mora is a collaboration between Grasshopper Manufacture and Hungarian studio Digital Reality, who handled the game design and the modeling. Grasshopper provided sound and concept art, and Akira Yamaoka, who's been working closely with Grasshopper for quite some time now, did the soundtrack for this. It's not quite an indie game, it's not quite AAA, it falls somewhere in that AA middle ground. It was released in 2010 on XBLA, which was really exciting at the time because, and it continues to be honestly, because not many new shooters, especially ones with a budget, are coming out nowadays. This is a genre that I'm a huge fan of, and Sine Mora happens to do some really interesting stuff with that genre. Plus, the writing is rock solid, which is perhaps the most surprising thing about it is how good the writing is, on top of it being a really good game. So I'm so excited to finally be doing this. I've been talking about wanting to do Sine Mora for years. So we're going to go into challenging, and we're going to get started on that story. When you're born with the ability to travel through time, the first thing that you must learn is that you cannot be in more than one place at the same point in time. Special though you may be, you are not immortal. You must give due consideration not only to when and where you do things, but also what you do while you're there. The second thing to bear in mind is that your gift, like rage, is meaningless without power, yet all power on Seoul lies in the hands of the Lael Empire. The Yankees have disregarded both principles. They labeled their rebellion an eternal war, though their resistance certainly failed to live up to that title. It all ended with the fall of Mirage Mountain. So this is a war that is perpetuated by time travel. Sine Mora meaning without delay.
Kobalt király a parancsnokságnak. 1200 4, 76, 12. Megkezdem az ereszkedést. Vétel. Kobalt király a parancsnokságnak. 1200, 4, 76, 12. Megkezdem az ereszkedést. Vétel. Vettem. 1200, 4, 76, 12. Kobalt király. A navigáció szerint a város fölé értünk. Ellengravitáció várható. 3, 2, 1, mostantól.
And we have control. Right now, all we have is our maneuverability, which our ship's pretty nimble, we can fire, and we have the timer up there. So that's about all we have right now. Pretty soon, though, this is the tutorial prologue section, so they're going to be introducing everything we need to know, basically, at least as far as controls go. So we'll get these guys coming in from the background. The language that you're hearing being spoken in all the voiceovers is Hungarian, and it is the only audible voice language, which was a conscious decision by, again, Hungarian dev Digital Reality. So I'll try not to talk over the narrated bits too often, just because, but if I do, you're not missing out on too much unless you actually speak Hungarian, but it's all subtitled. So, sub-weapons. Each ship and pilot has their own sub-weapon. Our stock is the green pips up there, and for now, I'll use them pretty liberally since it's the prologue tutorial and it's unranked and unscored.
Szóljuk meg kicsit ezt a lebegő erődöt. Falka vezér! 22-es, 21-es és 9-es fedez! Ennél a sebességnél felkenődünk az árokpalára, aktiválom az időtüzért! Tomián, a picsába! Falka vezér! Utat preparálták, vétel!
And this is something that's really cool. We can choose routes. There's an easy route for novices, and then there's this advanced one, which features some interesting environmental stuff that I'll show off. And this is also where they introduced the other mechanic to you, time capsules. When you pull the trigger, you activate your ship's time capsule. In our case, it's really useful because it can slow down time. You can see the screen is scrolling pretty quickly, so this is what allows us to make these vertical corridors in the trench manageable. Also, if you hit any of the walls, the sides, the floor, the ceiling, or anything like that, you will lose time. So essentially, the timer at the top acts as your health bar. It doubles as a form of health. Like you saw, I scraped the side a bit and lost 3 or 5 seconds or so. And that's the thing that Sine Mora does that really sets it apart from other shmups. Since time is such a big motif in this game, time also acts as your health. And this is the final thing that they'll be introducing us to in the tutorial. This is a time extension upon death. This is sub-weapon stock. This is a score medal, which we'll get into how the score medal and the scoring system works later. More time, shield that activates on impact, and firepower. Firepower can be upgraded 9 times. If you take a hit, then all of your firepower, or most of your firepower upgrades, fly out of your ship, and you have to recapture them, which adds an interesting little risk-reward proposition, because it can be really dangerous to just impulsively go after them.
Köszönöm, Falka vezér. Kobalt király a parancsnokságnak. 604, 112, 12. Pozícióban. Fél perc a kioldási. Vexem. 604, 112, 12. Kobalt király. Granit Group sikeresen ledobta a szállítmányt.
Wow, the in-game sound really, really clipped. The 4th Unity, 3 bombs killed 664,000 Enkis that day, to the elated cries of nearly 2 billion citizens of the Empire. But this is also where I lost my son. He was the pilot of the Cobalt King, the bomber that carried the 4th bomb, the one that never dropped. He did the unthinkable, unprecedented in the history of military aviation. He ignored his orders. According to the news, the co-pilot buried a bullet in my son's brain that very instant. An Imperial father would have been shattered to hear of this treason and struck dumb with shame. Me, I'm just a collaborationist father, a secondary citizen who resembles an Imperial father only in grief. I have not torn my clothes from my body in mourning. I have not apologized for the actions of my progeny. I have sworn revenge. Oh, you will be shocked at how solid this story is. Anita Point. We call it the Eternal War, but to be realistic, the bombing of Mirage Mountain all but wiped our nation off the map. Since the war broke out, more than 2 million Enkis have vanished without a trace. Imperial stormtroopers and collaborationist headhunters dragged them away. Men, women, children alike. The way we figure it, data in the Manita research base might point us to their location and how we may be able to help them. We shall take every measure, no matter how few our numbers may be. And we're into our first ranked and scored stage, stage 1A.
Ito, Idriad. Az ároknál vagyunk. Megkezdjük az ereszkedést.
Sok szerencsét, Akita. A peremvidék aktivitása a várakozásainknak megfelelő. Csapok egy kis zajt, hogy elteveljem a figyelmet rólatok.
So we're starting to get introduced to a lot of different characters. I'll break them down eventually as we get introduced to a couple more. For now, we'll just focus on mechanics. I missed the power up. Oh well. My hit rate's probably going to wind up being pretty low anyway. Rather, kill ratio. It displays on the ranking screen as hit ratio, but really it's just the percentage of enemies in the stage that you kill. It's one of the bigger ranking factors. Score, surprisingly, does not factor into the rank that you get at the end of a stage.
Triát, valami fura dolgot láttam. Teszek egy kört a kilátó körül.
Ito, milyen fura dolgot?
Baklárva, ne haragudj, hogy a marhaságaimmal fárasztalak. Nem, bassz meg, ez egy őszem! Nem képzelődtem!
Time for our first boss, Sentinel Hexapus Kolobok. And immediately, I want to get to the top right, because he'll do that every time. And then, okay, I got good pattern with the missiles. That's just this. So boss turns around and kind of circles the screen. This is good. That multiplier is just purely for your score. It goes up with consecutive enemy kills. And I am gonna... Good, good, good. That was a bit dangerous. Great. Yeah, yeah, yeah! Great. Okay, I think I have one more missile volley. Fuck. Yeah. So, when you use your sub-weapon or your time capsule, that resets your score multiplier. But again, you don't get ranked on score. Score is for personal, intrinsic satisfaction. I also didn't kill his top weak point. Bosses tend to have bonus weak points. Also, I figured I might as well have used the sub-weapon since I had already used the time capsule and that reset my multiplier anyway. So again, the multiplier in the top left, the orange number, grows with consecutive enemy kills. I think it's like every 5 or 8 or something.
Mi a szentszar, baszd meg, a kurva életbe!
Language E2. Round 2 with the Hectopus. Or what was it? Kobok. Is this the one that...
Akita! Akita!
I really like bullet patterns in Sine Mora. I think they're really creative. They're definitely challenging. I have to kind of thread the needle with the time capsule. Oh well. It's only score. You get penalized if you get hit. So you not only lose time, every penalty you get, which is a time loss, counts against you in the ranking. So I would rather lose my score multiplier than take a lower mission ranking. And that'll make sense when we get to our first ranking screen at the end of this stage. This part's really hard, though, if I don't use a time capsule. Because you're dodging all of these mines and eventually they start tracking you. Okay, yeah, screw it. You can build up a big multiplier here, because there are so many mines to detonate, but that requires you to not use the capsule at all, and this part's super fucking hard. I've only ever managed to do that without time capsuling one time. It's super tough. Oh, those mines are savage. But again, I care, like, even if I only get, like, E or F ranks throughout this LP, it's whatever, because I'm doing this live commentary, so you don't expect amazing performances, but I care less about my score than my ranking, if I'm gonna care about anything. So you don't want to take penalties if you're going for high ranks at the end of stages. But yeah, I want to talk more about that, because it's really interesting the way this works as a health bar. Most shmups, you take a hit, and that's it. You lose a life, you start over. Sine Mora, you take a time penalty, and you're, like, if you look at the timer as health, your health is constantly depleting, and you're having to kill enemies to regenerate, quote-unquote, that health. Because you get more time on the clock when you destroy an enemy, like you get a couple seconds apiece, depending on the enemy type, or if they hit you, or if you run into the environment or something, you lose time. So it's like, it's this really cool race against the clock. And there's a lot going on under the hood of the scoring and the ranking and the timer, which hopefully I'll delve more in depth with later. But for now, I want to take that thing out. Oh! No. That score token can't escape. So that was 100,000, I think. And I have a 4x multiplier that multiplies the score tokens that you pick up. And it's like every 5 enemies, I want to say. I have to double check this. Every 5 enemies or so that you kill will drop a score. A bonus medal. A score medal. Oh no, did I run out of time or did I get crushed? Whoops, oh well. Okay, so you can see a little cool feature that they give you, which is you can hold down the bumper and fast forward through cutscene moments if you're replaying something. Let's try to do this without a time capsule, just for shits and giggles, since I already messed up. I think if I keep far enough ahead on destroying the ones in front of me, then I can circle back like this. Yeah, okay. That's... Oh, and look how much that builds the multiplier up, too. So it's handy if you're only going for score. Like, if you're doing a high score run, it's really useful to destroy as many of those mines as you can. Let's do this a little bit less stupidly, where I don't clip the edge and get crushed. Yeah, and the same thing will happen if your time runs out. It's essentially like you're constantly running out of life. Adds a nice, neat gimmick. And again, because the motif is time, you're constantly kind of going against time. Very, very tense. Especially on higher difficulties, where it can make a big difference. And as the game gets harder, you're going to take a lot more hits, so you're taking more time penalties and losing time constantly. Okay, just this one at the top. So the thing about the medals is every time you pick a medal up, the next medal that drops will be of a higher value until they hit, I think, 100,000. So they start off like the first medal you pick up is 1,000, then it's 5 or something. I don't remember the exact values. I missed the medal and just went backwards because I'm not that focused on it, but once you miss a medal, it resets the value of the next one. So if you get 1,000 medal and then you pick up the 5,000 medal, and then you miss the next one, the medals reset back to 1,000, and they keep going up in ascending value. And there's kind of a neat trick for score, for high scores called medal chaining, which is basically you want to keep that medal value as high as possible by not missing any. And then you have that multiplier, which multiplies the value of the medals you're picking up.
Úgy látom, a házőrződ itthon van.
Cool. Time for a second boss. This one has some really, really fun patterns. So those are the 2 weak points. Whoops, I thought this was the laser sub-weapon that this guy had. Oh, gotta throw that needle a little bit and make it through here so I can take that weak spot out. So he doesn't do that attack anymore. Each weak spot governs which attacks they do. So you might want to prioritize certain ones that do more dangerous attacks first. This is the one that fucks me up, because this one forces you here, and then I'm going to stop time. Because if I hadn't slowed time, I would have been trapped in that corner. Like, if I had tried to make it to the upper left of the screen, I would have got clipped by the second volley of the laser. So it would have been a problem. Oh, no, I passed through. Fuck. And you can see for a second my power-ups flew out of me, but I got lucky and I recollected them, like, immediately. Sometimes it can be really dangerous to recollect those power-ups. Okay, this is the really hard one for me. I think if I do this right... Good! Okay, yeah! Yeah! Ah, yeah. And then this is the final hard part of the fight. Mines keep dropping from the top of the screen, and his engines push you and the mines away. So you have to be really careful about your positioning, because you're fighting the current and the mines dropping, and the mines then getting pushed towards you, and you're getting pushed into the mines. Yeah! I love Sine Mora's bosses. Even the early ones are really fun.
Remélem, hogy az informátorom helyesen lokalizált, mert nincs kedvem ártatlan embereket ölni. Ha vannak egyáltalán ártatlanok. Okumono, az ördög segélyával.
The devil's ass.
Duplán fizetek, te szar!
And that wraps up the first stage. The end of stage 1. Regis Pyre was the gunner for the Cobalt King, fifth in a staff of 7. He wasn't my son's killer, but my revenge caught him up, as it did all other members of the damned crew. It took me circles to find him. The Empire cast him into Bokemono for rape, and for all anyone cared, he would have rotted there forever. The girl he raped was an Enki named Mirin Magusa. Her racial handicap was a well-kept secret. Should it ever come to light, she'd end up in a dirty, forgotten labor camp like the rest. So far, she's dodged suspicion. Imperialists are too half-witted to look beneath the surface. She was young and tough, but more important for my purposes, she was a pilot who could be politically compromised. I needed her to help me pay that bastard back for the death of my son. Pyre wormed his way into her body. I did the same with her soul. I threatened her with exposure, so she stuck by me. Not, it's pretty dubious moral ground there, exploiting a rape victim who would be thrown in a labor camp if her ethnic background was exposed. Yeesh. But this is the direction that Sine Mora goes. Okay, hit ratio is better than I expected, 91%. I think 92 would probably be a sweet spot for an A, and the 1 continue and the 1 penalty kind of did some damage, but that's not actually that bad. I was expecting worse. Really excited to get further into Sine Mora. So that's going to do it for now. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one.